Hello, Legal Shield family. This is your servant CEO, Jeff Bell, and we're going to continue today talking about something that really matters, and that's action. We've started this over the last few weeks, and we're going to continue with it today in 5 Minutes Strong. 5 things that I want to share today. The first one is that action is cheaper than planning. Did you know that the Wright brothers actually beat out very well-funded larger companies to be the first ones to take flight down in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina? Why was that? The answer is action. An author by the name of Robert Greene, in his book Mastery, explains that the Wright brothers had a very tight budget and were forced to make small, cheap decisions to each model of airplane that they designed. They would fly it, they'd crash it, they'd make a change, and then they'd fly it again. And those iterations are what allowed them to succeed where others had failed. You see, the corporations had a lot of money. They thought that they could do it by getting a perfect plan on the drawing board, an abstraction, if you will, in theory, but they never took action to actually test any of their ideas until it was too late and the Wright brothers had succeeded. The other thing that I want you to know is that action, it's really important that you know that action always allows emergence. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you take action, it actually creates possibilities that didn't exist before. You know, let me give you an example. When we think about our future, we only view it from where we presently are. We don't sometimes try and consider a different perspective on our future, and so we feel constrained. It's kind of like if you're walking in a city like New York City, and you see skyscrapers and you see all the people and you see the cars driving around, and that's your perspective. But then suddenly you turn the corner and you're greeted by Central Park with trees and wildlife and beautiful green spaces and open spaces. Suddenly your entire perspective has changed. And sometimes we need to force ourselves out of the box that we find ourselves in order to see what's possible. But that's only by forcing ourselves out of the box. That's the action. You see, action leads to possibilities. The other thing to remember is that motivation many times follows action. We'll get it wrong. We're like, oh, I've got to motivate myself. I've got to, get pumped up and then I'll take action. Sometimes getting started is all you need, and there's not a lot of motivation behind it. Just get started. Just get going, right? And then what you find is that in the movement, you find more passion and motivation, more confidence and success. If it's a long journey, take the first step. Guess what? It's easier then to start the momentum to move to the second step. We talk about all-out massive action, all-out massive momentum. It begins with the first step. Action precedes motivation many times. You may know what your why is, but don't try and perfect the accomplishment of that why. Just get started. Other thing you should know is that action, fourth point, action, in fact, creates courage. Let me give you a quote from Malcolm Gladwell in his book, David and Goliath. Quote, "Courage is not something that you already have that makes you brave when the tough times start," he writes. "Courage is what you earn when you've been through tough times and you discover that they aren't so tough after all," end quote. You see, forcing ourselves into a corner can make us bolder than we otherwise would have been. And you know what? Even fake courage can become real courage. We know that in our bones, we can deliver, but until we actually are forced to, we don't. We need to be grateful for the trials and the tribulations because they build our character and make us stronger. Fifth and last for us to talk about today is that action beats the odds. Plutarch wrote many years ago, many years ago, about the Spartans. Quote, "Spartans do not ask how many are the enemy, but where are they?" End quote. So there's an attitude there that you simply have, got to embrace to really live a life of action. More information rarely helps unless you're ready to take action upon it. The perfect plan does not exist. The great Warren Buffett, there's a biography on him called The Snowball, and it demonstrates that Buffett did not have a grand plan, when he was younger. He just knew that he wanted to make some money. There was no master plan for him. He just had a powerful urge to move forwards, to take action, and he was willing to take opportunities whenever they would present themselves. You know, there's another very famous and successful venture capitalist. His name is Ben Horowitz, and he has a new book called The Hard Things About Hard Things. And he says, quote, startup CEOs should not play the odds. When you are building a company, and this is you building your Legal Shield company, so listen to me on this, you must believe that there is success for you. And you cannot pay attention to the odds about that success. You just have to find it. Horowitz writes that it matters not whether your chances are 9 out of 10 or 1 in 1,000. The task is the same. You don't need to know if it will work. You just know that trying gets you closer to making it work. That's 5 Minutes Strong, my friends. And my name is Jeff Bell, and I am just getting started. And we are Legal Shield, and the best is yet to come.